What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight. As promised, I have two special big bros, and I mean big, two of the best to ever do it at Virginia Tech, offensive lineman TJ Washington and standout offensive lineman Jay Hagood. Both of them were my mentors, my big brothers. It's been a long time coming. I'm so glad to get both these guys on the show. TJ, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Vic. How about yourself?
I'm good. Jay, how you doing, boss?
Man, chilling always, baby.
Yeah, y'all look good. This is special to me, man, because I knew you guys when I was 17 years old. TJ, I knew you when I was younger, like little. Like I ain't never been little, but when I was like 11, we were at a lock-in at my dad's church. And me, you, and Todd, we had to do. We all had parts in that rap song "Self-Destruction."
Oh God, I remember that. What we do, self-destruction.
Yeah, I think we did. That's the Sonics part of somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, self-destruction.
We in the church basement rapping. Me, you, Nanette, and all of them from the shore.
It was like we were crazy. Yeah. Like that's a positivity rap.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but now this is special, man. So as I said, and bring you guys in, you guys both, man, were two of the best offensive linemen to ever play at Virginia Tech, man. And I've often said, during that time, those teams that we had, you talk about you two, Chris Malone, Mike Bianchett, Bill Connolly, Jim Pine before me, Todd Washington, Derek Smith, everybody. There's so many guys that during that time, that group, we were known as physical. And I've had, a lot of great people on my show. Obviously, Mike Gentry, Coach Frank Beamer. I had Cornell Brown and J.C. Price on, Hank Coleman. And it's been very known that 95 defense, Jim Barron, was very special. But what people forget is that 95 and 94 and 93 and 96, those offensive line were really, really good. But what people don't know is what we're going to get into today is your legacies, your stories, and how you got to Tech. So, Hagood, I'm going to start with you first, man.
All right.
I first met you when I was not on my visit, ironically. I thought I would, but I was with Law Lou, and I didn't meet you on my visit, but you came down with Brian Edmonds, God rest his soul, Corny and Brown. You guys came down to watch me and Tony Morrison and Ken Oxendine and Anthony Poindexter, a lot of guys in the VHS All-Star game. And first time I saw you, you looked at me, you said, "Hey man, you balling out there. You dapped me up." He said, "You ready to be a Hokie, man? You ready for what it's gonna take?" I was like, "Oh, I'm cocky." I got my helmet to the back. I'm like, "Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna come there and kill it." And you were like, "All right." But before I became your teammate, man, you from Easley, South Carolina. And in my humble opinion, you put Easley on the map. You and the dude, he didn't go to Easley, but Radio, the movie. Yeah, because it was
yeah. But Hannah, he was Hannah.
Yeah. But what people don't realize, man, you're from the great state of South Carolina, where so many great players come from. Drakeford, Russell. These are Hokies that I know, Jamel Smith and Pierson Prioleau. But just talk about, before you got to Virginia Tech, your childhood growing up in Easley, South Carolina. What was it like, and what got you into sports? Because you were a football and a basketball player.
Yes. Well, the biggest thing was me growing up. I'm from Easley, but I'm from the country of Easley. You have two different parts. You got the city part, they call it across the tracks, and then you got the people that's down Highway 8. I'm from Highway 8, and I think the biggest thing for me was my grandfather, who, he emphasized sports, because he always said, we work in the field, but we play in the evening. So, when we wasn't in school, I lived on a farm, So I lived with my grandfather, my grandmother, and 6 of my aunts. So, with their kids. So we had a pretty big house. And but we got done in the fields, we played sports. My granddaddy, he was all about watching basketball, watching football, but he was bigger on baseball. So my first sport ever playing was baseball.
Wow.
And so going through being from the country, the athletes in the country I feel like are so much better, where I come from. because there's nothing else to do besides either go tip a cow or, play sports. So, but, even if you play sports, you go tip a cow. So, but but the biggest thing is that, like, where I come from, we had a guy named Stanley Morgan, and I actually wore his number. He played for the New England Patriots, and I wore his number in high school, number 86. So, I'm thinking I'm going to be the greatest tight end. I'm going to, what I'm saying? I'm thinking, man, but at the same time, I was a great, basketball player because of my cousins. And I had a cousin named Adrian Bowens who, he taught me how to have a, jump shot because he played college basketball at Central Westland. And I remember going to one of my high school coaches, and I was telling them, I'm not going to play football next year. This was in the 10th grade. And I said, I'm going to concentrate on basketball because I'm getting letters from everywhere. They said, your hands and your feet are going to get you to the next level. And that's in football. So, things happen, and I act like I was the greatest thing since, what I'm saying? I'm thinking I'm the king in Easley, but, they didn't love me enough to graduate me. So I had to end up going to Fork Union. Now, when I went to Fork Union, that's when I found out about football. Like, seriously, like, back at home, I lifted weights. I didn't really lift weights, but I always conditioned. I
went in there. I was about to jump in on that one.
Hey, TJ, no, it's fine because I almost choked. I said, "What? Lift weights?"
Hey, I'm sorry. I know we jumped ahead, but I remember Hagood on the bench press 145. I was like, I'm like 140, and you play offensive line.
Hold on, TJ. We're gonna get to that. No, because that's when we get into the bread and butter, the weight room stories. Hold on.
Yeah. But going to Fork Union, I went there and I actually played with a guy. His name is Eddie George, and everybody know who he is. He's a Heisman Trophy winner from Ohio State. And then there were other guys that Dwayne Ashman, who played at UVA. I mean, there were 55 guys and 46 of us went D1. And it was crazy. Amazing. I mean, and the thing about it was they like, man, we're going to go watch film. I'm like, what's watching film? Because, I'm an athlete, man. What y'all talking about? And then they taught me with Diallo Anderson. He played at Michigan. He's the one actually who taught me how to watch film. Now, he's a DB, and he's telling me, Jay, you need to look at this, this, and this. You're a tight end. If this corner does this, then you need to break it around. I'm telling you right now, I had no idea about none of this stuff. But when I got to Fork Union and being up under Coach Schumann, he turned me into a football player. Yeah, which his sons played at Virginia Tech. Both his sons did, Coach John Schumann. So, he's the one that, and then me being at Tech, I had the Clemsons, I had the Georgia Techs, I had the Floridas, because I'm from down south. And I'll never forget, when Tech, came and talked to me, Coach Marshall. And I'll never forget it because it was funny because I called my mama and I told her, I said, well, Mama, I said, this place called Virginia Tech. I never heard, I feel like I never heard of it. And she said, I just love their colors. I remember when they came and played Clemson and Clemson beat the brakes off of and they was ranked 23rd in the country. And this was back in I think it was 87 or 88.
Okay.
And she was like, I love their colors. And then, before I went on the visit, I had an Ohio State visit after that. And Coach Schumann told me, he said, and I will never get his words, and because we called him Inhuman Schumann. He was very intimidating, very. He was a taller Coach Grimes. so he was like, when you take this visit, you better commit. And when you come back here, you need to tell me, and you going to Virginia Tech. I was like, yes, sir. So I had in my mind the whole time, I was like, man, I ain't committing no Virginia Tech, man. I'm going down south. I'm going to the heat. But I went up there, and man, I was there with a guy named Marco. B. Steele was there, Lenerick Thomas, and Danny Dunbar. And what was funny was that it snowed. Like all of us are from down south, and then B. Steele and them, they from Richmond. Yeah. So you got Lenerick Thomas, Jay Hagood, who from Sacre Lane, never seen no snow. You got Danny Dunbar, he from Florida, ain't never seen no snow. And it was funny because before even Beams and them offered us a scholarship, We were in not Hokey Grill. It was what was the other place besides Hokey Grill?
Squires.
Squires.
Yeah. And we was in there eating. We was talking. I was like,
Oh, you talking about for eating and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember. No, it wasn't Squires, was it?
It was Squires.
Oh.
It was Hokey Grill and
I forgot another place.
yeah. You remember we used to eat in out,
mm-hmm.
and we were all in there eating, and I remember LT saying, "Man, I'm coming here," and I was like, I said, "For what?" And he was like, "Man, it snowed. You ain't never seen no snow like this." I was like, "Man, I ain't never seen no snow like this." Because it's snow in South Carolina, it's a little flake, and then what I'm saying, it's over. And so we talked about it, and we talked about turning the program around because we noticed that they had Eugene Chong and Will Ferrer, who were great football players who got drafted in the NFL. And we kind of, as high school players, we from down south, we talking about going to the NFL. We ain't talking about all the extra stuff about I'm gonna get an education. Now we from South Carolina, Florida. We talking about going to the league. And seeing how many people had got drafted, it was one of those things to where like guys even before us, you know what I'm saying? Because even with Damian Russell, you know what I'm saying? And Drake was on the board already to get drafted, and he was from South Carolina. And it just turned my head, boy. It was like, man, I'm already in Virginia, and I ain't never seen nothing, no snow like this a day in my life. And then, it was funny because I went to Beams, how you go in the office and they, want to talk to you. I said, well, Coach Beam, I need to talk to my mom. He said, don't worry about it. We done called it church. Man, my mama at church, and they done called my mama. So they called the night before to find out where she was going to be at with Berlin them. And I didn't know about the whole, I knew about the D1 thing because Clemson was kind of petty. You know what I'm saying? You from Easley, you going to Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
That's 15 minutes down the road. You coming here. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know it. That was really my first big time, even with South Carolina, because I had cousins that played at USC, at the University of South Carolina. I actually have one there now, Brad Johnson, who's a linebacker.
Wow, okay.
Playing for Shane. And they expect for you, because you from South Carolina or you have family that went there, you're going to come here. And, it was amazing to me that Coach Beamer had my mom on the phone and said, well, you can talk to her now. And my mama said, boy, if you don't commit to them, I said, you know what? I guess I'm coming to that, Coach.
Yeah, yo.
So they did a good job. That's the one thing I can say with Coach Beamer and John Berlin, and then with Sherry McCloskey, because she actually was working for Beams before she became an AD. And she had an office with John Berlin, and they were side by side inside of office. So, but the biggest thing is coming from where I come from. Country football is the best, because I supposed to went to a different high school, and I didn't go to Rim because my family was there. My mama sent me to Easley, and going to Easley was a good thing, but it was also a thing that till this day, I'm from Easley. I don't care what nobody say. I'm from Easley, South Carolina, baby. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of athletes that come through Easley High School that never have a shot. Because I played with guys, till this day, they always talk about, well, Jay, such and such was better than you in high school. I said, yeah, he was better than me in high school, but in college, I was better than him. And then in the NFL, I was better than him. So I think the whole journey, I think Fork Union with John Schumann, Coach John Schumann, who I talk to at least once a month. And I talked to him, he always had me, because Fork Union plays Virginia Tech's JV.
Yep.
And when I was there, he always let me talk to him. And because I showed up at Fork Union, I told him, I said, I'm here to play football. And that man took me under his wings, and it was amazing, man. Like Fork Union, I don't care what, it's a military school. You don't see no girls.
None.
I'm talking about if you see him, it's at a dance. And then I was always on guard duty, so I didn't never see a girl.
Y'all was like, yeah, footloose.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Yo, that's crazy. That's great. I'm glad you chose Tech, man, because on the field and off the field, you had an impact on me and the young boys.
Cool.
And also you had, and I'll say this, I'll go on record, man. you know, TJ is one of the strongest guys I've seen with his punch. But Hagood, you probably to this day, even with the Dwayne Browns that went through Virginia Tech, you still to me have the best feet and kick step I've ever seen. I mean, you were so smooth with it. I mean, you know, it's just crazy, man, because as we're going to talk about later, you won't go and kill nobody with your punch, but you were so quick. I wish I could demonstrate like your kick step. Hagood, I mean, Coach Grimes used to just love it. But then, you know, when it came down to like cutting off and swooping in underneath that 3 technique, you were like, nah, you got to get him. You got to get him. That's you. That's you. But TJ, man, you know, like Jay, man, very similar. You know, you from the 7-5, but you from the Eastern Shore of Virginia. So you have the Eastern Shore of Maryland, what people know about with Ocean City, but then you have the Eastern Shore of Virginia with Accomack and Onancock. That's when I learned about Scrapple, you know, and homemade vanilla ice cream. So on the shore, everything's homemade. And then and look, for real, you're gonna get the best food you ever gonna get in Virginia. You know, but at the same time, you can't eat all that because it'll do something to you.
Yeah.
But you, all jokes aside, man, you and your brother Todd, you played for, you know, your father, who's a legendary coach in the VHSL. God rest your soul. Your dad was a great man. So, you know, like Hagood, you played in the cut, but also same time, you guys played for a great coach. And before you, Boatwright, who's from the shore, went to Virginia Tech. And then, of course, you're from down there. Hank's wife, Cynthia Coleman's from down there. Ace Custis. So there's a legacy of great players on the show. I'm sure I forgot somebody, but for you, how did it all come together when you knew you were going to go to Virginia Tech? And then also, why did you choose Tech?
Actually, I wasn't supposed to go to Tech. Just like Hagood said about everybody from East to go to Clemson, it was a done deal. I was going to UVA. I think people forget at one point in time, Tech at one time was the 4th best school in Virginia. You had UVA, James Madison, William & Mary, Richmond, and then Tech. So I was a done deal. I was supposed to go to UVA. Like everyone knew, they didn't even come recruit me. It was like everybody from my high school went to UVA. So my dad had a plan, and he normally does. I knew I wasn't going to Tech because he was like, "Hey, you could take your plane trip, your visit. You could take a plane to Virginia Tech." My parents didn't come with me, and we had me and Kenny Anderson. He was there for a couple of years. We get up in the air. The guy said, "We gotta land. This, you know, we just gotta check something out." We land out. They flew the plane to the Eastern Shore, so I felt big. Like they can't pick me up on the shore. It was on a crop duster airline, like when they had the crop duster. It was the propeller plane. The plane lands. I kid you not, when it lands, it catches on fire. They didn't catch it on fire. Me and Ken like, okay, you know what? We're going back home. We get to my parents' house. I said, look, I guess it's not meant for me to go to Tech. So my mom said, look, you gave them the word. You're gonna go to Tech. They sent the other plane. It was me, Kenny. I think Brandon Noble was on that trip as well. He was there.
First Colonial, the defensive tackle.
We get down there, and I've never seen so many black people in my life. I was like, they took me to the party, like, because I missed all the guys. I was
hold on. Time's out. You said black people.
Yes.
Because you talking about the social stuff.
Yeah, social. This is how they got me. This how they got me. This how they got me. I get there late, so I had a late dinner with Coach, with Beams and everything. So hey, we're gonna take you out. So Boatwright was my host. So Boatwright took me out. I was like, man, it was at Hokey Grill. I was like, man, there's so many black people here. Oh, this is nice. And it took me out the next night. I said, man, there's so many black. I get home, my parents are laughing. I said, okay. And so I went to a couple other schools. Like my dad really only had 3 choices: Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, and John C. Smith. John C. Smith, because my dad went there. Wake Forest, we had another guy that was William Boatwright's teammate, Marvin Mitchell. He played at Wake Forest. My dad coached him in Virginia Tech. So I chose Tech because, you know, they wanted me. And then also I'll tell you a quick story why I didn't pick UVA. I wouldn't see UVA play Tech when they had Chris Slade, Terry Kirby, and those guys. They beat Tech like 45-3. I go in the locker room to go commit. And while in the locker room, I'm talking to Coach Wells. And Coach come in, so another coach come in and said, hey, Coach, they're here. We got to talk to them now. They're here. He leaves the locker room and leaves me in there in 20 minutes. I'm 18, you know, superstar, Virginia. How dare you leave me in the locker room for 18 minutes for some juniors? So he comes back. I said, Coach, I got to think about this. I'll give you a call later. Found out years later it was Tiki and Rondé Barber.
Oh, they left you for the Barber twins.
It was the Barber twins, so he went to go see them. So I guess they made a good choice. So I get home. I get home and I've never said, Dad, I'm going to go to Tech. He said, good choice. And I'll never get UVA Coach O'Brien. Remember the offense coordinator from UVA
Tom
called
O'Brien.
Tom O'Brien. And I said, hey, I'm going to Virginia Tech. And they laughed on the phone. I was like, they laughed and said, you'll never win a game. You'll never go to a bowl game. Yeah. Have a good career. And hung up the phone.
Mm-hmm. He tried that mess with me too. Tom O'Brien did that mess with me too.
Yeah.
He did that. He said, you really want to go to a school that only had one winning season?
Yes.
I was like, yeah, I ain't going to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I went to Tech. And then when I got there and I saw my mom said, I'll give you $1 for every black person you see when you get there.
Yeah, because your mom and dad low-key knew, right?
Yeah,
they knew. They knew.
They knew I was going there. Everybody knew but me. Everybody knew it was me. I was going to Tech. And what brought me to Tech was just seeing the guys interact, like seeing how guys treat Boatwright. And Boatwright was a big influence to me as well. Because, you know, my dad coached him. He beat me up when I was a little kid. He was like my older brother. And he took care of me. And I knew if I went there, I was going to be okay. Mm-hmm. I definitely knew that. So when I got to Tech, it was just seeing Hagood, Marco Thomas, Eugene Mays. Like, we had a bunch of characters that it was like family. It was almost like we knew each other. And the thing that was funny about us, and Hagood, you could tell, our freshman year, we used to, with all due respect to the older guys, they used to get mad because our defense and offense would kill the first unit. Like, be goal lines up. Coach B would be mad and like, how you gonna let these freshmen stop y'all? Like the scout team offense was doing good, the scout team defense was doing good, and they're like, and I was like, man, we got some dogs out here, because that's the one thing that we came together. Because when that first season when we didn't go to a bowl game, I remember Hagood and them said, never again. And these are freshmen talking about this, not the seniors. With all due respect to them, but this freshman like, now we ain't gonna run this nighttime at 25 degrees and this cold for all season workouts. We're gonna be at a bowl game. So that's what brought me to Tech.
So, Hagood, you know, one thing, and TJ, I'll ask you the same question, obviously. You know, when you talk about like linemen, you know, I haven't had a chance to have Derek Smith on, but I've had Todd, your brother, on, TJ, having him on the show, and other linemen. You know, we believe it or not, I mean, Hagood obviously was a very, very athletic offensive lineman because he started off as a tight end in Virginia Tech during our era. They were known for converting tight ends to offensive tackles, and it worked out great for them. But what people don't realize is, man, like, in my humble opinion, during that time, offensive linemen, you know, you not only have to be intelligent but aggressive and know when to be finesse and balance that. But we were great athletes, and people don't realize that, like, because of the guys we had to go against, and a lot of guys want to play defense, but in a lot of ways, you, TJ and Jay, y'all made offensive line play fashionable. You know, you talking about Conity and Bianchin and you guys and the guys we went against. Jay, I'll start with you, man. Playing offensive line, did you initially hate it at first, or did you just adjust to it and take to it like, okay, I'm gonna make this work out for me?
I tell you what, when they moved me to offensive line during summer, you know, training camp, summer 2-a-days, and I went to Coach Marshall because Coach Marshall ended up going to Tennessee, who he retired from being, you know, a coach for the Houston Texans. And I went to him and I said, man, this is not what I want to do. I said, man, I don't think I'm just getting in the way. and he was like, he said, I tell you what, he said, it's just because that's back when we flipped the offensive line. So you had a tight side and a split side. So they made me a split side, you know, tackle. With the split side, you flip flop. So he said, look at it this way. And he said that, you know, you're still playing tight end, except you can't catch passes because you flip flopping the line. He said, you just can't catch passes. He said, maybe one day, because of your athleticism, you know, you'll go in and raise your hand and we might throw you a pass. You know, lo and behold, he ended up leaving after my freshman year. But you know, when Coach Grimes came in, I enjoyed it, but Coach Grimes was so thorough about everything. I was like, you know what? He was reminding me of, you know, Coach John Schumann at Fort Union. He was just so persistent about stuff. So I went to Coach Beam and I said, Beams, I'm not having fun. I said, and I feel like I need to go to defense. I said, if you don't put me on defense, I need to go to tight end. Well, I'm thinking he ain't gonna tell Coach Grimes. Well, anyway, before practice, I'm up in the student little tiny, the little corner room for student life. Coach Grimes said, "Hey, good, I need to talk to you." I was like, "Oh God, here we go." So Coach Grimes pulled me in his office. He said, "I'm gonna tell you what." He said, "Son," he said, "I've never seen nobody that had feet like you." He said, "You may not be strong." He said, "But your technique, because he said, you live off of playing off of your technique." He said, "Son," he said, "I don't care if it's going to training camp, going to Canadian League." He said, "But son, you will be in the NFL one day." I said, "Coach, guarantee me that." He said, "I can't guarantee you unless you work hard." And I said, "You know what? I ain't gonna let you down, Coach." And from that point, that's when I that's when I made the decision that I said offensive line is not the most glorified position. Because you got to remember, we used to be, especially being Vic, you played basketball, you used to being glorified as a, what I'm saying, as an athlete.
No, you're right, Jay. Because I was joking with Big D, Derek Smith, and I posted some videos of me in high school, and I've been looking at. I'm like, man, I used to really be good at defensive tackle. Like, and I remember Tech was recruiting me as a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
And then we got there and we put on those black heavy Nikes. We call them Leicester Special. Them big black Nikes, and we went to the old field house. They got some sweet stuff now. We had the old field house, and I ran a 40, and I ran a forever. And that's when, and that's when Tech would get you, because you signed in and you ate. They fed you, and then they said you're gonna work out and run and do your testing.
Yeah.
And they told me and Big D and Todd we were all playing online, because Todd played defensive tackle in the All-Star game. So you're right, Jay. I was like, man, defense, offense. I was like, but I wanted to be there. So, but you're right, it is an adjustment. But at the same time, as you mentioned, your feet were, phenomenal, and you also were playing that special left tackle position. And you made it look real easy, but at the same time, I think it's an adjustment, because now and back in the day, everybody wants to be a tight end, especially with guys like Gronk and Kelsey. Everybody wants to be a quarterback, running back, or be a defensive lineman. And offensive lineman, okay, yeah, you go over there. But in my humble opinion, even fans I talk to on Twitter and Facebook, those O-line teams that we were a part of are now referenced. Even now, when people talk about Virginia Tech football and what they need to get better at, and they keep talking about those teams we were on.
Yeah, well, you got to think about, look who we went up against every day. Yeah, like people don't realize, like we went up against death row. You know what I'm saying? Like we're talking about the Cornell Browns, the Law, the Hank Colemans, the Jim Barons, the J.C. Price, the Waverly Jackson, who's the strongest dude I've ever seen a day in my life. So you got to think, we're going up against these guys every single day, and they talking junk. Like this ain't no average D line. This is the best D line in the country. We ain't talking about, especially like with JC, he was a tight end and he turned to a defensive tackle, but he had moves. I used to be like, where did that come from?
Yep. Holding. Yeah. Coach Grimes, look at me, get out of there.
Yeah. But you know what, Vic? I used to love when you and JC went together, because you was young and JC was older. And he made you work, because you came from Hampton High School. Think about it. You came from one of the most prestigious high school public schools in Virginia, and you used to just dominate. But then you got this guy from Maryland who 6'3", and you 6'6", and he spinning, moving, got hand work, and it's like, but y'all battle.
Yeah, no doubt. TJ, same thing, man. Like, when did it hit you, and were you okay with it, or you knew that you?
No, I was okay with it. I was hot.
You were hot?
I came to Tech, and
as a D lineman.
As a D lineman, and I'm not trying to be funny, and so this is me being humble. I was remember they did the top 25 in Virginia.
Oh yeah,
I was
they still do.
10th.
Yeah,
I was 10th in Virginia as a D tackle. So my freshman year, I was on scout team D line the whole year. And then we had, I think, Phil Almation came in. He brought me in the room. He came and said, "I was gonna let you know, you're big and you're slow, but you're tough. You're going no line. I'm like, what?
Hold on. See, this is why I love these stories, because you can't even say stuff like that to kids now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So he hit you with that in your face.
Yeah,
he said, "You big, you slow."
In his office,
Yeah.
you're big, slow, you're tough. You make a great offensive line, but you're a horrible defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You remember they convert the linebackers to DN.
Yep. Say what about speed?
Defensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
And so they sent the big gun to talk to me, Jim Pine. Jim like, hey, if you come play O-line, you'll play quicker. Look, you got the size, you got the hands. And I was miserable. I was like, I want to leave. I was like, I ain't signed with this because like I looked at like Chris. I was a big fan of Chris Slade growing up. Chris Slade was like growing up was that DN that I wanted to be like.
No doubt.
I wanted to be a defensive player. So my first year I was redshirted. Second year, you might as well call it another red shirt because I was learning the whole position again. Yeah, I played offensive line in high school, but being for the cut, it wasn't technically sound. It was like get in front of the guy, block him, and that's it. No steps, no nothing. So I had to learn that position all over again. But I will say this: I think Almation and Grimes because that was the best decision they made for me.
No doubt. You know what? It's funny you bring up Grimes and Almation. When I had J.C. Price and Cornell Brown on, I'm gonna ask you both the same question. You talk about those 90s, especially 94 and 95, and even the years after that. But those years that we were there together, you talking about the best defensive line in the country. But in my opinion, and again, obviously I wasn't at UVA, Maryland, or Howard or whatever school, but the personalities on those coaching staffs, right? You talking about J.B. Grimes, Almation, Sharpless, Bud Foster, Todd Grantham. Okay, this is before Ricky Bustle returned, and then you also had Gary Tranquil, who once who once said, "Get T-Bass out. I'd rather have a rock at left tackle." Okay. So you talking about, then you had Beamer, Steinspring. So there was nowhere to hide. Steinspring was the coolest one. And he was a young one back then, and he took over. He worked with Grimes, but
Brown.
Listen, there was nowhere to go. I mean, all the coaches there were. I mean, practices were so intense. I asked Beamer about it. Frank Beamer, who was on recently in my show, and he said, he had to manage those personalities, and he talking about, Gary Tranquil and Almation going at it. Bud Foster was a linebackers coach, Sharpless, and nobody was a punk. And and to be fair, now I'm gonna start with you, Jay. I think even though Grantham was louder and taller and a former Virginia Tech great himself, I feel like we had the toughest coach in J.B. Grimes.
Oh yeah.
Listen. So now is your time, Jay. You'll go first. Man, just tell everybody, or just we know he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of college football.
Yep.
But just talk about how tough, whatever you want to say. What do you remember about Grimes, whether the good, the bad, or whatever?
The craziest thing is that, when you're playing for him, it's everything bad. You know what I'm saying? It's everything, because we used to be in that meeting room and, he would go off and just yell and point people because he didn't care about that because he's the first person I ever seen with that laser. Because when he first got the tech, he had a pointer, like the laser actually had an arrow. TJ, you remember that? He had an arrow on it, and it was a flashlight. And so then the next year, right before y'all came, he actually got, a true laser. And you know how he was with that laser. Everybody sucked to him. That's how I felt until game day. We all sucked. And I think the biggest thing for me, Coach Grimes, during that time, I learned something from because, he was like, why? Because I remember one time he told, after the year we went to the Independence Bowl, he told us, he said, well, guys, why would y'all go back to the dorm and go to sleep when you can bring a blanket over here and sleep in the meat room? So you know what I said? This was Gator Bowl year. This is when y'all first was coming in. I said, you know what? I'm going to start sleeping. I don't know if y'all remember, but I started sleeping in that meeting room.
I do.
Because he said that was a waste of time to stay in your own room and get comfortable. He said, you can get comfortable at the night meeting, period. And I think because Coach Grimes was he was on our side no matter what. Because even we got, we'd be in the meeting room Coach Grimes would start going off on, death row and, ah! And Coach Grimes just dropped the remote and say, boys, we got them. Go ahead and get your shoes and your pads on. I'll meet you on the field. Ain't no use us watching film. Because he already knew, what I'm saying? Because he was on our side. And, but when we was the individual, I thought he hated us.
Yes.
Oh, you suck. Oh, your footwork. Oh, God. And if you don't hit and he went for 5 foot, 1.
Yes.
And we all was scared. We 6'5", 6'6", 300 pounds. I don't care Malone. I don't care Conity, Bianchi. I'm talking about Derek Smith. All of us were scared of that man.
Yes.
Because he had the personality to make us play great. But on Saturday, because I remember him telling us, I remember the year we went to the Independence Bowl. He said, guys, when it comes Saturday, the only thing I'm going to do is chew tobacco and be on your side. And I'm thinking, okay, because you ain't never chewed during practice. You know what I'm saying? And I remember that first game, I think was playing Bowling Green. He was out there and we was, went in. And then the craziest thing was, TJ, I don't know if you remember this, he subbed the whole offensive line because we was dominating them so bad. He said, we're going to get some work. And he subbed us at the 7. We was only up 7-0. We marched past the 50-yard line, become the first team back in, and then they scored a touchdown. He said, get used to this because we're going to work because we're going to be great. And J.B. Grimes, I'm telling you, to this day, I love that man. I even babysat his kids back in the day.
Yeah.
All of us did. You know what I'm saying? We love that man. And I think because of Coach Grimes' personality, he didn't put up with tranquil stuff. He was like, you coach your people, I coach mine. You know what I'm saying? Even with the D-line, he wasn't even scared. You know what I'm saying? The D-line, he wasn't even scared of them.
No.
You know what? We'll just cut them. He said, go ahead and cut everybody. Hey, good, start cutting. TJ, start cutting. And that's how he was. He wasn't playing. Because he wasn't going to let us get embarrassed.
No, he wasn't, man. He stood up to Grantham and the defense, and he challenged us. I just want to say before you speak, TJ, I want to pass this on. Grimes, every now and then, he will DM me on Twitter. And he follows along a lot of stuff I'm doing, and he keeps up with as many guys. He told me recently, he said, we were a special group to him. He said to this day, the best he's ever coached. And I'm paraphrasing, but this is basically what he said. And he said, they don't build guys like us anymore. And mind you, he's coached in the SEC, small colleges, Big Ten, Arkansas. So this ain't no Kings and Me University. He's been everywhere. I mean, now TJ, I know sometimes you and JB had some, you being nice. No, well, no. I'm gonna let you speak because I was a youngin. I'm y'all little bro. I'm your little bro. So I
can say this. Jay was the golden boy to JB. I was the black sheep. Hey, y'all know, hey, you can't wear do-rags. What happened? I wear a do-rag. Yeah. Hey, you can't wear a towel. I wore a towel to my ankles. I was the offensive line. JB, you know what? Looking back on it, just say before I go from where he is now, looking back on it, I appreciate him now, being a coach and having players. I see what he was doing, but being 18, 19 years old and coming from the country, I mean, only my father talked to me like JB did, but JB used to say some stuff that you want to cry, but you're on the field with your boys, you can't tear up. He said some stuff that
he was rough. He told, I'm not gonna say his name, but he said, you're pathetic.
Yeah.
I know what he's talking about.
he said stuff to me. Like I was like, I think I ready to swing on him one time. He said, you want something, me, boy? I said, yes. I want something. But you know what, JB though, honestly, I owe my NFL career, like my college career, Coach Gentry, Coach Height, Coach Beam, and my dad. But JB, I want to get in contact with him because I want to tell him thank you. He gave me something that I never really had, mental toughness.
Yes.
Because I want to say, knowing now, he broke me down to build me back up. Because I never was an offensive lineman, and he just broke me down. He was hard on me to learn. And I think looking back on it, I appreciate him. But during that time, oh my God, I thought that I was going to lose my scholarship because I said one day I was going to get Hagood said, don't do it, TJ, don't do it. Vic used to be like, calm down, T, calm down.
Yeah.
Just calm down. He just coached you. I'm like, man, this MF right here, I'm going to stomp him out. hey, it's gonna say they're gonna charge me with murder because he was just so vicious, and like he would throw chairs in the meeting, and then it was just one of those things where you just. But the thing at the same time, he was teaching you.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me how to be the technique and how to punch, how to slide. And then when I got to my next phase of my career, I'm like, between my dad and JB Grimes, what you gonna do to me?
Mm-hmm.
I've been called every name in the book.
Yeah.
You know, you've been tough on me. Like, what you gonna do? You gonna hit me with a chair? You know. So I love JB. I think JB, I appreciate him for everything he's done for me. And if I can see him now, I would tell him thank you.
You know, TJ, I know what you mean. And he pushed us, man. I remember him. It's funny, I forgot about him throwing a chair. But one thing about that 95 team, which I'm going to ask you guys about in a second, because I think that was the year that really took Virginia Tech to another level. But he reminded us that he said, we were the leaders of the team. People don't realize the defensive line and the offensive line were the leaders of that team, okay? And he challenged us, and he was tough to play for. And you're right, TJ, he loved Hagood. But Hagood's a hustler, because Hagood would put his arm around Coach Grimes while the backups, when he was like, Coach, man. And he would coach with JB and be like, yeah. And he was like, come on, Todd. And I was like, Jay, man, you ain't the coach, man. But at the same time, just another funny story about it. Actually, it's not funny, but it's crazy. He was still one of the toughest men I've ever met. And you're right, Hagood, we were afraid of him. I remember you guys were all off in the NFL, and this was my junior year, 97, and we're playing Boston College. I think it was Boston College, like at the 12 o'clock noon kickoff, and it's late in the first half, and they came and gave us the phone, and I got the phone, Gennaro got the phone, Derek Smith and Todd, and basically, and Brad Baylor, we all talked to him, and Coach Grimes was in the booth. He left the sidelines and went to the booth. He was having chest pains. The man had a heart attack during the game.
Yeah,
and he's talking to me, said, now, Vic, I want you to go out there and finish. Keep your head up. I'm going to the hospital. I'm having a heart attack. I said, you on the phone with me? You having a heart attack? He said, I'm going to be fine. You just be a leader out there. Keep your head back. Watch for the linebacker. I was like, you coaching me while you having chest pains? And to this day, man, he was out within a week.
Yeah.
And we went and saw him in the house, and he was like, I'm not going to be in here long. He was like, I'm going to kill everybody. And he was asking about our weight and our classes, but you don't really see men like that no more. And I think that's just one of those things where that 95 team and that era of coaches, like I said, that to me, when you look back at Al Mason, all those guys, before the lunch pail D, you had Al Mason. I mean, I was on scout team my first year, and Al Mason, the defense was messing up, and he said, run them. He made the scout team run.
Yep.
And he said, run them till practice is over. And and as a lineman, I'm thinking we still got conditioning, man. It's Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? But Jay, TJ, and Jay, I'll start with you. Jay Hagood, you mentioned, and TJ, the film room and how he had the laser and Coach Grimes. But I'm sure y'all remember, and I told you I was going to bring this up. Another thing that was tough on the film room, and was funny and tough, was we had so many personalities within the offensive line group where if you got beat or embarrassed, you were worried not just about Coach Grimes, but about Hagood, especially Hagood. Not Bianchin or Bill Connolly or Malone. It was Hagood. We sat behind y'all. And if you got beat, and Todd was the worst, because Todd wouldn't just accept it. He was like, I thought you called. And we were like, no, you didn't. No, we ain't called that.
Yeah.
And if somebody got beat or embarrassed, Hagood would look back at you with like, I mean, hey, TJ, I'm gonna start with you. Do you remember those meeting rooms? How much fun, but how how you had to be careful, because if you got beat, it was on.
I was more worried about Hagood and everybody else than Coach Grimes. Like, Coach Grimes was gonna yell. That's what he's gonna do. But Hagood would say something that was so sneaky and sly, like, man, if you don't shut up.
I
got bull rush.
It was Hagood, Big Rich. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
And before he left, because he was old at Trenton, T-Bass.
Right?
And I remember one time, I don't know who it was, and I remember Hagood said, Lord. They were getting bull rushed. He said, "Good Lord." I mean, it was like, and Big Rich would tap me on my back. And, and it was funny because as tough as ground was, he let us, be ourselves. I mean, TJ, with any moments, is there a play you remember when you were like, man, listen, I hope they don't get to that point?
I remember this. I'm going to give him, it was spring ball, Lalu. I overset and he hit my shoulder and I did a flip.
What?
And he got to the, and everybody, you heard the D-line, like, oh, they're like, oh. And JB like, what the hell you did? Hagood like, come on, T. And Big Rich like, and Big Rich tapped me on my shoulder. He's like, he got you, right? He got you. I'm like, I see it on the film. And it was like, it was embarrassing because I my feet was messed up and it was literally a flip. And I'm 46 years, I still remember that. Yeah. And now it's like, you know what? He got me. It was just one of the things he got me with my place foot. And then but Big Rich and T-Bass just gave you that look like, really, dog? Really? Mm-hmm. Big Rich like, he got you. Even Todd and my brother laughed at him and said, I got no words to say. Yeah. Hagood be like, come on, man. Come on. Hey, you should do this. Put your feet here, put your hand here. And I'm like, all right, man. But yeah, we characters, man. We were some characters.
Yeah, we were. Jay, you remember, man, like, your times in the meeting room, man, like, do you remember, like, what do you remember about it, man? Just, the comedy or just?
I tell you what, Coach Grimes let us be who we were. And I think he fed off of that because sometimes I look over and Coach Grimes will be laughing because, we be in there like, because I remember one time, I think it was with Mike Mamula in Miami. He was going to Miami. And they flipped sides. And I was like, because I kept, my whole thing was I'm never, ever getting beat for a sack. That was my big thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember Mike Mamula had bull rushed him, yanked him down, and Bianchi grabbed his leg and yanked him back because Bianchi didn't play. He was dirty. He was a great player. He was not getting beat for a sack, whatever. And I think that was the first time, we were all you were in the meeting room, and I said, Bianchi, for real. I mean, how many times you gonna let that man do you like that? Because I even remember my senior year when Todd was playing beside me. Todd had the excuses. Todd
always
like TJ. Yeah, he wasn't like TJ. TJ just accepted it. Todd had an excuse. Well, I thought Hagood called. No, I didn't call that, brother. I ain't called that. You know what I'm saying? Because my biggest thing was Coach Grimes let us be who we were. And you not gonna sit here and lie on me. He wasn't lying, but he probably thought I said it, but I know I didn't say it. and I just think being in that meeting room, because especially after games, that was the biggest thing, because between you, especially when y'all guys were backups, you, Big Rich, T-Bass,
Derek Smith.
Derek, especially Derek, because Derek was my backup and he'd be laughing all the time. And for us to go in there and watch the games, you know what I'm saying, that Monday afternoon, we be in there like, because I'm thinking myself, because I feel like this, when I made the chain gang, I was like, I'm good. I'm going to go in here, man. He ain't going to talk to me crazy. But I made sure that I pointed, I think because I did it jokingly, but I pointed out stuff because even Kennedy would do it. And Kennedy once told me, he said, I was thinking I was being joking. I'm like, Kennedy, nah, because you'd be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is that? I mean, now I realize why I had to grab him. That's why I got to, Kennedy would lose his wig because, being in that meeting room, and Coach Grimes was just sitting in the front and wouldn't say nothing.
Yeah.
And I think the meeting room brought us as old linemen, especially y'all young guys, it showed y'all that we can play ball as hard as we want to, and then we can joke one another, and then and you got to accept it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I got joke, and you know what I'm saying? Because Bianchi be like, hey, good, what's that right there? You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it was that we were such a close family, because I think Coach Grimes done a good job, because, we only watched film for 30 minutes, and then we spent 45 minutes on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And with us being out there, wasn't nobody out there except us. We doing a walkthrough, and Coach Grimes losing his mind, this and that. But it made us stronger, because it was almost like we was fighting against Coach Grimes, but we was listening to him as a collective group.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. TJ, when you think about that time, I want to ask you and Jay, that 95 year, 96 was really special too. You're talking about going 10-1. repeating as conference champs and going down and playing Nebraska when they were the 2-time defending national champions, and they had a D-line themselves.
Yeah.
And we modeled our program after Nebraska with their physicality, but also we modeled after Miami with their speed, them in Florida State. So it was a good mix, and it proved huge dividends for Beeman and staff and our teams. But 95 was special. You had, it was the Texas Sugar Bowl win.
Yeah.
You started off going 0-2, and we had 2 really bad losses, especially that Cincinnati loss at home. And we also had the year, and Beamer talked about this on my show, we also had during that year, we also went to the Million Man March.
Oh, yeah.
And Beamer supported that. He encouraged us to go. But whether it's the Million Man March or the Sugar Bowl win, TJ, what do you remember about 95? Do you consider that, in my opinion is, but TJ, do you consider that the marquee year for Virginia Tech football? Because people will point to the 04 ACC championship first year in conference. They'll point to 93, which is to me also very critical because that started the bowl streak, and that was a special year too. Maurice DeShazo, he had a great run as a quarterback that year. But was 95 that year for you, or is there another year?
I would say 95 was the year we were put in the spotlight, but I think the year for me was after my redshirt year at 93. And the reason I say 9 for the football game, but just the mentality, because I don't know if you remember this, Hagood, like when we went 2-8-1, and I think we lost to Temple at the end of the year. We lost to UVA at the end of the year. All the freshmen got together in the dorm and said, "Dog, we can't do this no more."
Yep.
Brian Evans like, "Dog, we can't do this. We can't play." Because we had to, back then, if you had the bowl game, you had to work out for the bowl game. Because we was before Christmas break, we had to work out. That mile we used to run up the hill, around that gate, down the track. Before they had track, like we had to run that gravel. We were doing that like 8 o'clock at night, where you see people breathing from the cold air. And I just remember Brian's like, "Dog, we can't do this no more." And that day, the guys start saying, we start bonding together, where we became more than just teammates. We became family, where we're like, we're going to work hard and we're going to go to a bowl game. We're going to change the program.
TJ, who else was in that room? You said Brian Edmonds, Hagood. Who else was in that room that doing?
Brian Edmonds, Hagood, Marco Thomas, Eugene Mays, Torian Gray. I mean, it was basically all the freshman class because we all hung out. That's the one thing that I can say about that freshman class. We all hung out. It wasn't about your offense or defense, your white, black, whatever. We were all teammates. And that thing was we were bonding. Like, we're at Tech. Like, there's nothing to do at Tech. You know what I'm saying? As we all know. And we were like, we're gonna make this into a program. And like we talked earlier, I think one Tech issues, my opinion, is these guys leave for the summer and leave each other. We never left for the summer. Nope. Like Hagood, like you were talking about Hagood senior at the All-Star game. It was me, Hagood, you, me, Cornell, Brian Edmonds, and I think there was somebody like we worked out early. We ran phases Friday morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And then we hopped in my truck and drove to Virginia Beach to see you and my brother play.
Yep.
And and that's what we did. Like, we were a family, and that's the one thing that was a light for me. Like, that's what's gonna make Tech great, because we're all together. Like, I was fortunate. I played with Hagood in Europe. Like, we're always, our lives are intertwined. And I think that 93 year, when we sat in that room and we're like, look, we ain't gonna be like this no more. We're gonna play. We're not gonna care what people think. At practice, you get mad, you want to fight, so be it. But we're gonna be better. So I'll say 93 was that.
93, no doubt. I was a senior in high school, and I watched Banks and Law Lou score touchdowns, and I seen you guys destroy Indiana. I was like, I'm going there. Like, I just saw y'all brotherhood. It came through the screen. Before I asked Jay about which season it was for him, you mean so y'all took your truck, TJ? Y'all didn't take the white Le Mans?
No.
So for those that know, take it back, that don't know, and Hagood had a white Le Mans. I don't know. We took that thing everywhere, to the 757, South Carolina. And I was so tight with Hagood, I knew where everything was. I wish I had a prop. I should have got a prop for this interview. Hagood would be like, "Hey, Vic, man, hand me the defrost." And I'd be like, "Gotcha." Open the glove department and grab a white towel, and I would wipe the windows. And that white Le Mans was durable. They don't make linemen like y'all no more. And they don't make cars like that. That car witnessed fights. It went up the hills of Blacksburg in Southwest Virginia. But No, that was a good time. Jay, what year was it for you? Because again, like TJ, you guys again before me. So was it 95, 93, 92? What was it
I,
for you?
I think, like TJ said, it wasn't 93 for me, but that whole, because even with, we had O'Keefe Smith, who was my roommate, because back then it wasn't like linemen lived together. Like I lived with a DB. O'Keefe Smith was a DB from New York City. I'm from South Carolina. We had two totally, he's from up north. And I'm from, little old Easley, and he's from New York City. And I think because our class was so close when we got there, I think, it was one of those things to where, especially in 93, that summer, because I felt like this. If I had went home, I'd have been fat and out of shape, period. So I made a commitment to myself to always be there every summer. And passing out at phases, what I'm saying, pulling a hamstring, it didn't matter. I was there.
Falling off a truck.
Yeah, falling off a truck, getting out of like, you remember that? Man, I done fell off a truck and skinned everything. I've had to call my aunt to talk to fire to me. But I think, no lie, I think the 95 season, because I remember, this is the craziest thing. I remember the summer phases. And I don't know if y'all guys remember this, but Sean Smith, the basketball player, ran phases with us. Because
I remember.
He had to lose 35 pounds. And the football team and the basketball team at Tech with Ace Custis, Watlington and Sean Smith, Sean Good, the Jackson twins, those guys, Jackson twins, Good and Smith, we all went to Fork Union together at the same time.
Wow.
And you had Travis Jackson, all of us guys were close because we came in together as freshmen. Like, you got to think about what Tech brought in, me and TJ's freshman year. It was the change of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It changed basketball, it changed football, and then the next year when they brought the guys in for baseball, they had a guy that got drafted in the second round. He wanted to come to Tech and play baseball.
Yep.
But I think 95, that summer, watching Sean Smith, the basketball player, condition with us as football players. And us as football players saying, we lost it, man, we got killed by Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't ready for that. Like, that was something that we were not ready for, period. I blocked the guy who ended up playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, I murdered him. But at the same time, I had never, ever, besides Cornell, seen that type of speed on the football field. I think for me, 95, because we lost those first two games, man, we lost to Cincinnati.
16-0.
Hold on. We only had 3 first downs. And they were terrible. I ain't taking that from them because they beat us. But man, people say, well, it was rain. Till this day, people say, man, if it had been raining, they beat us. No, they beat us.
No.
And because even with the Boston College thing, I think we had too many mistakes. And plus, it was Drunk's first game starting. Because we all know Jim Druckenmiller was a baller. So, period.
Yes, yeah.
He was a first rounder. He actually was the first, second quarterback that was drafted in the first round from Tech. And I remember after we lost that game against Cincinnati, I don't know if you guys remember, but Pooms was like, he was like, that's it. We ain't losing another game. And I'm thinking myself, man, we about to play Miami. We ain't beat them yet. Them boys too fast. But it was like God was, what I'm saying? Like, it was like almost like he was putting us in position to make Coach Beamer who Coach Beamer is now. Because it snowed before the game and it rained the entire game. So them boys couldn't use that speed, none of that. And Coach Bustle came up we were in warm-ups, and I never forget it. Coach Bustle said, we're going to cut the ball back every time. Instead of trying to beat them to the corner, we're going to cut it back. So you guys just push them all the way to the corner, and we're going to cut it back.
Yes.
We had, Dwayne Thomas, probably one of the greatest running backs, ever came through Tech. He's the one that set it off. But I think, going from that, and then the next week we go play, Pitt. And then we had a tight game with Pitt. And then every game was tight. Even, we was playing West Virginia. And actually, Travis Jackson's brother was a quarterback for West Virginia at the time.
Yeah.
And I think playing West Virginia, they had Canute Curtis, guys like that. Like in the Big East at that time, the Big East was way better than ACC. I don't care what nobody said.
It was very, very physical.
Yeah, because I'm telling you right now, having to go against death row in practice and then going against the guys in the game, it was unbelievable. And I think the part that, where we got to the point where we were so confident, like you take the UVA game. This is how I know we were cocky. I'm gonna be honest with you. The UVA game, we were cocky. We were down 19 points. Beams coming there, you know how Beams, guys, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what we're doing out there, and everybody else was in there. Even Coach Grimes, he was cocky. He was like, hey, we're going to do our job, this and that. We're going to go talk to drunk, figure out what's going on. He was like, we got this thing. I remember that. And then we go out there against UVA, 19 points down and put it on.
Yeah, no question.
You know what I'm saying? But I think the 95 season for me, because it made you a player. You know what I'm saying? Because you came into your own, because you was subbing. Yep. You know what I'm saying? You and Todd was coming in.
Yep.
Big D was coming in for me because Coach Grimes knew what he was doing. Yeah. He knew what he was doing. TJ's coming in. He's making everybody a starter. So basically for us as offensive linemen, we were all, even the backups were starters. If I got hurt, Derek was right there. I mean, he's 6'7" anyways with long arms. You know what I'm saying? He ended up playing for the Redskins. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I could trust my backup. For Malone, he could trust you. You know what I'm saying? For Connerty, he could trust who was behind him. Then you had, Gennaro, him and Todd. Todd floated everywhere.
Todd did every position. Yeah, Todd was everywhere.
Yeah, he both guards to center. TJ and Bianchi was switching out. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That 95 team, because all of us, even, with the guys, we were so close. I'm talking about there were guys, even with, JC Nim's class. You know what I'm saying? Because Cornell ended up in our class because he didn't get redshirted.
Yeah.
Even with those guys worked hard every day. They were already good football players. You know what I'm saying? But I think for me, the 95 season is the season I knew Tech was going to end up being one of the great ones.
No doubt. And it proved dividends. And the man behind, we mentioned all those coaches and personality. TJ, you brought him up earlier. And this is reminiscent on reflecting on the funny stuff. But the other coach, a part of that crazy personality group of coaches, was Mike Gentry.
Oh.
And listen. And Virginia Tech just recently honored Mike Gentry. They gave him a plaque in the new facility, and that's beyond deserved. We were scared of Coach Grimes, and we were also scared of Mike Gentry. But you mentioned TJ, and I got to mention this on y'all legacy spotlights. You mentioned how TJ Hagood was a golden boy. To this day, I seen Coach Gentry kick All-Americans out the weight room. He kicked, one time you guys were gone, I came back in between trying to get back in the league. I was helping him coach him out. And I seen him kick Mike Vick and Emmett Johnson out the weight room. Hagood had a way of working hard without working hard in the weight room. You remember that, TJ?
Yeah.
Hagood, I stopped getting in his group because he would be having us laughing. And then we, I'm still young trying to prove myself. We putting on plates. He said, what y'all doing, man? What y'all doing? What y'all who finna lift that? So you had Coach Witten, and then Sonny Sandel came in later, and you had Gentry. And I don't know how Hagood was able to finesse around that. Do you remember those times?
Oh, yes. I remember our freshman we came in, we had to do a test with Gentry where our strength was on the bench.
Yeah.
So, I got like 300 up. You got somebody doing 280, 293. Hagood gets up. I was like, oh man, this boy tall. He just, offensive lineman. He gonna at least put at least 310. I saw Hagood put 145 on the ball. It was like Kevin Durant bitching. I was like, dog, what the hell? And when he lifted, Coach Jish was like, we got some work to do. I'm like,
hey, I couldn't live with Hagood's group because he was clowning. He come in there, He come in there because you had to lift on Sundays after games.
Yeah.
He come in there with a towel wrapped around his head like a do-rag. And he would come over there, he would just be, you be lifting. He tell somebody, he said, man, you ugly when you lift, man. You know what I'm saying? He would tell people stuff. And yet, but it on the field, it's amazing. It was very Allen Iverson because he would go out there and then perform. And now, other guys, I could never afford to do that. I had to, because I'm playing inside, but I had to work hard. But it was just, you have guys like that. I just find it funny because Gentry would get on all of us, and Hagood had a way of kind of just figuring it out. He got with the right group, he'd be like, hey, you go ahead. I'm going behind you. I'm going to go. Oh, Sonny, man.
Him and Ginger had a deal together.
So, no, but all jokes aside, so your thoughts on Gentry, TJ, just what he meant to the program, what he meant to you.
I'll just first say this. I wouldn't be where I'm at without Gentry. And I remember, y'all remember STP? So I was part of that program. So I worked out with Gentry my freshman year by myself, one-on-one. And I couldn't, because I couldn't go to practice. I was in the program. He had me run that mile first time by myself. He said, son, we got a lot of work to do. And he was tough as hell. And like, you couldn't, for us, I remember he used to find you cheat. If you try to mess up on workout, he know when you're trying to cheat a workout. I remember one time I had a temperature 101. He said, don't you want to come to the weight room and sweat it out? Come on, let's go work out. You can sweat that out. Come on. But I think the one member I'll never forget, Jay, and I'm going to pick with Hagood because we were playing West Virginia our senior year. And, West Virginia had that quote-unquote good defense. And we were up, but we weren't running the ball. Gentry gets all in the shower. And he punched Hagood in the stomach. And he said, y'all don't got this. You don't remember this bit?
I remember he got on all of us. He would always take the lineman or D lineman in the bathroom.
He was.
I don't remember him punching him.
Oh, he punched Hagood right in the gut. And everybody like, oh snap! Man, he got so scared. Like that's why we played so hard. We like, if he hit Hagood, he loved Hagood. If he hit him, what he gonna do to us? So we went out there, man. We kicked their ass that second half, boy. I was like, Hagood, you all right? Yeah, man, I'm good. I was like, man, because he out of nowhere, because Hagood didn't see it coming. He was in front of Hagood giving a speech, and then he went, bow! And just Hagood go, I was like, what?
And Jay ain't no punk. And I remember him going off, but I sat in the back. I stood in the back. I was terrified.
Yeah.
First of all, West Virginia had grown men. I wasn't trying to go in that game.
I'll tell you about it. Gentry. I remember Boatwright first told me about phases. I'm like, man, how bad could this be? It can't be that bad. Even Hagood's Hagood's a runner. And when I saw him struggle, and you knew when we all start taking off our shirts, when all the linemen start taking off shirts, and you know it's a bad day. Y'all remember how it used to rain all day? Oh, we ain't got phases today. It's gonna be perfect. Gentry go in the room, get the hotline, and the sun will come out, and be humidity out there, and we run, and we come back here and start raining again. Man, Gentry, I think that's one thing Tech misses is a coach like that, because he was one of those guys that pushed you but also loved you enough to get you to do your best. And that he was yes, Coach Beamer was successful, all the position coach, but he was that backbone. He was that backbone for that program. When they lost Gentry, that's when I think that hurt Tech, because he was just that glue that kept us all together.
Yeah. No question. Yeah. Hey, good. What you remember about Gent?
Man, let me tell you something. Coach Gentry probably, I can just remember doing abs, and we linemen. We ain't doing no sit-ups. We ain't doing no push-ups. And for me, him pushing us to do abs was very inspiring, because I was like, I ain't gonna never be able to, do the cock, do the, hokey leg raises. I'm gonna die at 10. But one thing about Coach Gentry that I love, that it was almost like him and Coach Grimes was on the same page when he encouraged us. I mean, he worked us to death. Like the running thing, except for phases, because I passed out one time on the phases and I blew out a hamstring on phases. I think the running thing for me, I enjoyed it because what I came from Fourth Union, it was like being a track star. So I think, I'm a basketball player. I can run all day. And but I think the weightlifting thing, he encouraged me, because he set a goal for me. to end up benching, at least 300 pounds by my junior year. Because I'm just country strong, to be honest. I'm used to throwing bales of hay and grabbing a chicken and wringing his neck and stuff like that. But he made that goal and he set that goal, because I can even remember when I had a job my junior year before the Sugar Bowl year. That summer, me and Simonis worked out at 6:00 in the morning. But it was still the same workout y'all guys were going through in the afternoon. And I think Coach Gentry, to me, probably, you have your position coach, because we knew Coach Grimes. We knew how he was going to act. But you had Gent, who was with us more than our actual position coaches. People don't realize that in college, your strength coach is with you longer than your position coach. He's with you from January all the way up to middle March, because even doing 6 o'clock workouts, he's still there. Then you got spring ball over at the end of April. Then you get time off for your exams, and then come back middle of May. You with him all summer long till 2-a-days. Before practice even start, we was with Gent. Even stretching with Gent was tough. I don't care what nobody say. It was Coach Gentry, probably. I compare him to Coach John Schumann. I compare him to Coach Grimes. I compare him to Coach Beamer, because Coach Beamer laid back in the cut. He allowed stuff to go on.
Sure did.
He really did, because he really allowed for us to play for our position coach, for our, coordinator. Because Bustle and Tranquil, they would say whatever they want to on the field. We in practice, Beam's up in the little tower. And then after practice, we didn't have a good practice. I'm thinking to myself, man, you weren't even down here. but I love Beams, because Beams allowed his strength coach to guide us. Because really, to be honest, Coach Gentry put us where we needed to be.
No question.
I don't care what anybody say.
Yeah.
We had great athletes. We moved this and that, but he's the one. I could hang clean with the best of them. I could push press with the best. My bench was weak, but I was on the 550 squad. I was hang cleaning 465. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where he worked on your weakness, but he knew what your strengths were.
No doubt. So we have a few more questions, man. This has been a lot of fun, man. But you guys had a great run in high school. You both had a great and amazing run in Virginia Tech. Talk about your professional careers, man. Just how that went, and also just briefly your time together in NFL Europe. I thought that was crazy, bro. I don't even remember I was there, but I remember when I turned the TV on, because I knew Cornell had gone over there briefly, and he did some coaching. Roniel Whitaker was over there. He's much younger than us, but he's still part of the Hokie legacy. But I never forget, I think I was with my man, Big Joe, man, Joe Casuccio, God rest his soul, man.
My man.
I said, is that TJ and Jay playing side by side in NFL Europe? And I was like, I know they over there cutting up. But, Jay, I'll start with you, man. After you left Tech, you went to the Jets, man. You were in New York City, which is still crazy to me, because you went from Easley to the Berg to New York. I remember you came back to check on me. You hang out with me and Tyronne and Joe and all of us. And you were like, yeah, because your agent was working with Nas and the Fugees and all of them.
Yeah.
And I was, I'm a big Nas fan. That's my favorite rapper. We got the same birthday. And he was like, oh yeah, I see that dude all the time, man. His whole thing was like, man, them dudes short. All them dudes short, man. But you never changed. You never changed, man. So, but just talk about your pro career and how that was, and also playing over there with TJ in NFL Europe, man. How was that?
Well, I think, I never changed, because, being from South Carolina, you have to be, and, Jamel will tell you this, and Drake will tell you this, you have to be 100, period. You know what I'm saying? You if something come out your mouth, it's going to be the realest thing you ever heard, and it's going to surprise you. And because we grew up around, what's going on today, I lived through that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I tell people all the time, it ain't about racism, it's about how you was raised up. And so, going from, Easy to Fourth Union, once I seen everybody meshing together and being okay with each other, and then going to Tech, it was awesome. But once I got to New York, that was a tough, because I played it was Bill Parcells' first year with the New York Jets. I'm thinking I'm going to the Jets. I ain't got to deal with all this yelling because I talked to like Jay Holmes and them, J.C. Price, guys that's that's been in the league. Hank Coleman, he was in Detroit. I go to these guys, try to talk to them. I talked to Drake, and Drake was like, man, out here in San Fran, man, we practice one day with full pads and the other day with no pads. Like, oh man, I can't wait to get to the league. That's what I'm thinking. But I ended up with Bill Parcells my first year. That was the most, I think, being around Beans, because Beans was always, we had our meetings with him. He was always there. Beans was, on point. But this is a guy that would go around to different positions. You know what I'm saying? And he'd stay with that position all day long. And I'm talking about, especially the lineman. He loved the lineman. And I think what really, kept me humble was that, Parcells, after I made the team, after, we done did, 2-a-days, training camp over, your name on the list, you didn't get called upstairs. The first day we just had on helmet and shoulder pads. And I think that's what brought me back down to where I needed to be. He said, Hagood, who's the greatest athlete ever come out of Eastland? I said, man, me. I said, I'm the greatest thing ever come out of Eastland. I said, ain't nobody better than me. I said, I'm telling you right now. I said, I was all state in 2 sports. He said, no, you ain't. He said, the first dude I ever drafted, his name is Stanley Morgan, and played wide receiver for me. And I said, here we go, Stanley Morgan. I was upset, but it was real. And then I realized, I said, hold up, man. And then he said, don't you know, every day, not every year. Now this is the NFL. Every day somebody gonna try to come take your job. He said, so when you practice for me, you practice like you in the game. He said, so when you get in the game, it's like practice for you. And lo and behold, there's guys getting cut. They looking at guys, and you see this stuff. People can say whatever they want to, and TJ, he'll tell you, that they're looking at another offensive backup lineman that got cut from somewhere. He might have been a starter, got cut, whatever. But the one thing that being with the Jets taught me was loyalty and being humble. So, I'm playing with guys like, Neil O'Donnell. Then I see how Keyshawn Johnson, because I was in the locker room when Wayne Corbett beat him up. Oh, I was in there. Wayne whooped him. But even with Keyshawn, being as cocky as was, over time, he brought it back to, back to being humble. I think a lot of guys, they get drafted because I went undrafted. I had to go take my spot. And, it's so different when, I'm thinking I'm going to get drafted. But because of things that happened at college, and not for me, but things that was going on at Tech, which a lot of people don't really know, they looked at everybody in a bad light. Oh, you just like them.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to probably me, TJ, Bill Connolly. You got to think, you got 3 guys, we all ended up in the league, but we didn't get drafted. And
I know what you mean too, because that happened. I remember when Mike was going through his situation, Marcus was having an outstanding camp with the Miami Dolphins at receiver, and then the next day they released him.
Yeah,
because of what, and Mike was dealing with a whole different situation in Atlanta.
Exactly.
I know what you mean, and I didn't learn that till later.
Yeah. And and that's the thing. Like, people don't understand. Like, Tech has such a, like a cloud through the NFL on us. You know what I'm saying? You got to say, we had Cornell Brown. He should have went in the first 2 rounds. He ended up going fifth round, 6th round.
Yeah. Well, if you remember in 1996 when we played Nebraska in the Orange Bowl, there was a paper that came out, and you guys were passing around on the bus. It said Nebraska. It said Virginia Tech 22. Nebraska 7, and then
7.
.. and arrest.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, man, we were wilding.
Yeah, I remember that.
So thank God there was no social media.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's what I tell people all the time. Boy, if social media had been out and we were playing, because Beans put up with a lot. I ain't gonna lie. Beans put up, that whole coaching staff put up with a lot. And I'm thankful for Coach Bean, because he gave dudes chances that shouldn't even had chances, that were going to 1AA schools, and then next thing you know, they all Americans. But I think going to the league really humbled me. Not getting drafted is what humbled me, because I started getting cocky and this and that, whatever. And Then when I got there, I knew I had to work hard every day. So you do reps with the first team, but then you're on scout team by yourself. I backed up Jumbo Elliott, who was in the Hall of Fame, who's going to the Hall of Fame. That dude wasn't doing no scouting. You know what I'm saying? And so it makes a man out of you. And then, and I'm thinking, okay, well, then when I started, I got, they was talking about trading me this and that, whatever. So they put me on waivers, and I'm thinking, okay, well, they're going to reduce my contract because I made good money. And then that second year, I get picked up. I'm thinking, somebody else going to pick. I knew somebody was going to pick me up. Then I ended up going to the Miami Dolphins, and Jimmy Johnson was the head coach, who don't take no pads off. But I think the biggest thing is what really, really helped my career was playing in NFL Europe. NFL Europe probably was the greatest thing that the NFL could have had because it saved guys' careers, especially guys that didn't get drafted, didn't get a chance. And I played in Frankfurt my first 2 years, and I won a World Bowl with Frankfurt in '99. And then I ended up that third year, Bob Bicknell, who's the offensive line coach at Auburn, came in after Coach Grimes. He was the offensive line coach, and he was at Berlin with TJ and them. And I remember scrimmaging TJ and them, and I hated our head coach because he was the dude from Rutgers. I forgot what his name is, because he was the coach when we was at Tech.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, he ended up getting in trouble at Rutgers or whatever. Then
not Shiano.
I can't think of that dude's name. Yeah, I remember. But I hated him. I ain't gonna lie, I hated him. He was the only coach after high school I hated. So I remember going to Bick after we scrimmaged Berlin Thunder, and I told Bick, I said, Bick, man, you got to get me out of here. He said, man, and he was like, man, just hold on. Just hold on. And then I said, man, I don't want to be no confused, because I said, me and TJ played together. He said, I know. He said, I know. He said, don't worry about it. I'm going to get you. And then ended up probably a couple of days later, a guy got hurt. And I swear to God, the guy came to me, the head coach from Frankfurt, was like, we just traded you to Berlin. I said, man, thank you, because I don't even like you. Because we grown men now. I'm like, I don't even like you. I said, thank God I ain't got to deal with you no more. And then I went over to Frankfurt. And the good thing is I was on the practice squad the year prior to that. So I had moved to center. See, a lot of people don't know that I ended up moving to center down in New Orleans, because I played, with Kyle Turley and Willie Rowe. They 6'7" and 6'8". I wasn't playing no tackle. So the good thing was going down there, then I seen TJ, and then TJ was like, man, you'll enjoy it, this and that. Everybody here cool, this and that, whatever. And it was amazing because I said, it was a full circle, because, me and TJ, even to this day, me and TJ will bite each other head off, and then we'll talk the next day. Me and TJ will go with it, and then a day later he'll be like, hey man, let me ask you something. Oh man, what's up? And that's the bond that me and TJ have, because we'll be at each other, and then then we brothers. Like, so for us, even with you, Vic, like, we all are brothers. Even with Todd, and God rest, Big Rich Soul, and T-Bass, we brothers. You know what I'm saying? Because really, we were the only brothers on the O-line at Tech.
Yes.
We were the only ones.
Yeah.
And so we had to form a unity and a closeness that held us together.
And to your point, Jay, and TJ, I'm getting ready to get to you a second. I want to get this point out. To your point, I'm glad you brought that up, Jay, because at that time, and even to some degree right now, it is perceived, this is a taboo subject, what I'm about to say, but it's very thought amongst NFL and even college and high school coaches. Black linemen play defense because they got to be aggressive and assertive and sack the quarterback and attack. Smart white linemen play offensive linemen because you have to think and know when to be aggressive. So being a black offensive lineman, because we got to know the 4-3 8-man front, identify the mic, deal with the wheel, the Sam, adjust. And we have to look at the fronts and identify that, and also take on a 320-pound defensive tackle, DN coming off the edge, knowing to pass off a twist. It was not known for many black linemen to play offensive line. Am I right?
Yeah.
People don't realize that. People,
even if you look at the Big East, when we played in the Big East, we actually had a it was considered a predominantly black line.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the thing about it was you could catch you in there, Todd in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? TJ play. One time it'd be Bill in there by himself, and then all of us be in there.
Yeah. I remember that. You know what? I remember being in the game. It was like that one time.
Yeah.
Bill was the only one, and it was me and Todd at guard, and you and TJ at tackle.
Yeah.
And you still do not see that in different conferences, other than obviously HBCUs.
Yeah.
This great point by you though, Jay. I wanted to bring that up. It was in my notes to bring up. TJ, same question, man. You know, your pro career, just what you remember about it, and also playing with Jay overseas.
Man, what I remember about it was one, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go play pro ball. I was in love at the time, and I was like, man,
I forgot about that.
I was in love at the time, and
oh my God,
Lord. And much respect, much love, respect to my dad. He was like, when I went to Dallas, I got picked up. I had choice between Green Bay and Dallas. Green Bay was going to give me 10 grand. Dallas gave me 1,000. I was like, I'm going to Green Bay. And my agent was like, no, go to Dallas, because if you get cut, your career lasts longer. That's when they had Nate Newton, Larry Allen, Mark Tooney, all those guys. So I wound up going to Dallas, and training camp. The first 2 weeks, I was getting my ass handed to me. That's the only way I could put it. I remember I hit Darren Woodson. And I'm like, I went full speed. He busted my chin. He said, I'm a grown ass man, dog. And so I was ready to quit. I called my mom and dad out. I'm mad. I called my mom and dad crying. I said, look, I'm not doing well. I need to come home. And for the first time, my dad took the phone from us and said, woman, get off the phone. And he gave me this speech. And he was like, I didn't raise no quitter. And then after talking to him, I went out there and played. And actually, I made the team and got cut 2 days later because they'd had a rookie free agent that's going to start. Then that's why I wound up going to Nashville, backing up Bruce Matthews, who never got hurt, who never missed a game.
Yep.
Went there, then went to Pittsburgh twice, St. Louis, Seattle. I was basically done. I said, I'm not going to play more to Seattle. Carolina called. I was weighing about 350 at the time. And they were like, look, if you're going to play, you got to lose weight. And they said, we're going to see in NFL Europe. I said, then I looked on the roster. I saw Hagood with Frank. I said, this is going to be cool. Maybe I'll see Hagood over there. I got down from 350 to about 310 and wound up going to Berlin. And then all of a sudden I see Hagood say, man, I'm on your team. I'm like, what? And that was like the wrong thing. It was like 96 all over again. I'm talking about, I can say it's my wife and but we had a ball. Like it was.
I believe it.
It was a ball. Like me and Hagood be in Florida, like training camp. We be laughing because we played beside each other, and we had like that, almost like that bond, like I had with my brother, where he didn't have to speak to me, I didn't have to speak to him because I played guard.
Yeah.
And he played tackle, I played guard, and we just had that bond, and we were like, man, we were just having fun. Like, look, man, that guy's terrible, man. What, man, that guy reminds me of that person. Like we just had so much fun.
I loved it.
That I just like, man, I just remember those days. When we went to the World Bowl, we actually won the championship.
Yep.
And we won that championship last year, and we start laughing and say, man, and we're like, and not trying to brag, but like where we go, we win.
Yep.
And that's the one thing I'll say about us. And this is no disrespect to any offensive line that played at Tech, but you take our senior year, me and Hagood senior, all 5 guys made the all conference either at one point in time, and all 5 guys went to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
The 2, like you said, for me, Bill, Hagood, because of certain things, we didn't get drafted. But then you look at Gennaro and Todd, both got drafted pretty high, and we were consistent. And so I would just say this, and then I was going to go back after I finished the World Bowl, went to Carolina, and then everything was well. I made the team, active roster, but then we went 1-15. So then, things happen, new coach, new system. So, but I'll just say this about our offensive line. I will put our offensive line against anyone as a group. Like you have a couple guys like Dave Cadella, Dwayne Brown. You have some great individuals, but I want to see our offensive line go against any other offensive line with our starting 5. No, you're not gonna match that.
Listen,
and the backups, because you gotta remember,
the backups.
Because Vic went to Baltimore. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Vic always try. He always be trying to be humble. We know you went to Baltimore.
No. The reason why I keep it humble, man, because you guys, even though we grown men now, you still my big brother. Now, it's funny because everybody knows I do all the stuff on radio, TV, even before I had the Legacy Spotlights. And I'm interviewed a lot by the guys that cover Tech. And Andy Bitter had me on his he did an interview with me during the season. And Tech Tech this year finally had a really, really good offensive line
Yeah,
group.
they did.
And they asked me, Andy Bitter, I'm that guy that kind of keeps the old school and the new school connected.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, I love seeing that because that's what you need to win. I said, with the running back they had, Khalil Herbert, and that line, that's how it used to be. I said, but don't get it twisted. We will not call them GOATs until they do what we did, because what we did translated on the field. You're talking about 2 conference championships, the first ever win over Miami. And, this is back in the day. It was 3rd and 6. And we ran the ball and got the first down. We ran the ball. I mean, it'd be 3rd and 7, and you might get a counter. You know what I'm saying? A counter play.
Or run the option. We running the option. It's 3rd and 8.
Like Hagood said, we were running the option with Drunken Miller. I'm faster than Drunk. You know what I'm saying? But Hagood, I don't debate that. And I'll just say this before I ask you guys your last question about your legacies. I'll just say this. At the end of the day, man, like, that's why this show needed to happen with you two, as well as other guys from that era, because I want to give you both your roses now. And losing Keon, losing Big Rich, losing Poons, aka Brian Edmonds, even my guy Joe Casuccio. It taught me in those last 5 years to make sure if I have a platform like this, yes, you guys were both great players, but you're 2 great men who impacted me and so many guys behind you, and you're great fathers. And it needs to be said. So with that being said, TJ, I'll start with you. This is the last question for our show. What has the game of football and just your journey so far in life taught you? And what advice do you have for the young TJs coming up from the Shore or the Carolina or whatever, Virginia, the young TJs coming up? And what's the game taught you?
Right, so I get to the young people, work hard. At the end of the day, you're looking at 2 guys that we weren't the strongest, we weren't the fastest, but we were, we outworked everybody. And the advice I'll give kids, like, listen to your coach and work hard, because that's the only way you be successful. And I think, like you were saying, like, as Black athletes, and I hope I don't step on my toes, the reason I think a lot of Black men don't like playing offensive line because it's not flashy. Defensive line, you make a sack, you get up, you jumped up, and everybody's sitting in your back. But when you play offensive line, you get no credit but all the blame. And so, that's one thing I tell, like, I think I coach guys here, and they have a lot of guys who Black young men who could be offensive linemen, but I would say listen to your coach, work hard, and keep moving forward. And what my legacy, I think, is, I've never said this about myself. Y'all know how I am, but I look at my career at Tech, and I was like, I did the damn thing. We made both me and Hagood made all conference our senior years together, bookend tackles. That never happened at Tech before. And and I think Ace Custis, Cornell Brown, Ace, because basketball, he played basketball, but he was my homeboy from home, give me words of encouragement. Cornell, I went against Cornell every single practice.
God bless
Hated
you.
life. But I thank him. JC Price talk. See, people don't know JC talk a lot of crap. JC was a smack talker. Even and then also I think people forget about Jeff Holland. Jeff Holland was a dude that was like, no one heard of him, but he worked hard, and that's somebody I watched. Like, he built himself up. So I would just say, for me, just to bring it all together, work hard, because that's why I saw Jeff Holland went from scout team nobody to becoming one of the biggest legends at Tech, who unsung heroes. Blocking the field goal at Independence Bowl, getting a touchdown at UVA. Just work hard, and when you do that, man, things gonna happen. And that's one thing I say my legacy is, I learned from Tech just to be a hard worker, and good things will come out the end.
No question. Hagood, same question.
I think for me, to tell anybody young, my mother used to tell me, Doris Hagood used to tell me all the time, there is a team. There's no I in team, but there is a ME. If I don't take care of me first, then there would be no team. And I never understood that until I got older. And so that's the stuff off the field. That's the conditioning. That's the understanding, your craft. That's, being, knowing, what you're supposed to do on the field. Not going against the grain. Because, a lot of kids today want to talk back to coaches, this and that. The one thing that my mother always told me, she said, you always respect authority. Regardless if they're wrong or not, you respect it. Because there was times like, you go home and you complain to your mother or your father. But me not having a father at home, my mother was both. And so therefore I tell the kids, in order for you to get where you're going, you need to work hard, like TJ said. You got to put in the extra time. Because even when I was at Tech, people don't even realize this. I used to walk around campus. Actually, T-Bass does, because me and T-Bass done it. We would do it on Wednesdays, and I would do it every night. I would walk around campus just to walk, and I still walk to this day. And that was just because it cleared my mind to make me, understand where I was at, because I'm coming from Eastland. I'm at this big school with 40,000 people, and I'm looking at this stadium, and I'm walking around and seeing what's going on. That's the part of, taking care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, I got a big gut. I didn't want to lift weights, but I walked. I spent time with God. You know what I'm saying? I yielded myself and helped myself understand that everybody don't get this. And then 2% after, going to the league, only 2% of us get that. So I appreciate it. Every day I ran out on that field with a helmet on and said, you know what? I did this. Like TJ said, I did the damn thing. Me. But I think my legacy is, I think it comes from and it stems till this day. I'm a big Tech fan. Yeah, we played in the league, but I ain't got a whole bunch of New York Jets, Miami Dolphins, or San Diego Chargers stuff. But I still look at and I think about B. Steele. When B. Steele went to Coach Bingman and said, let me catch this punt return. And he went to him, caught that punt return, and took it to the house. My legacy, I feel like, is we changed the program. All the kids that come into Tech now, you can say what you want, say what you did, but we started from the bottom, and look where we're at now. And I feel like, me personally, my legacy is being who I am. I may say some stuff that might be, out of context, and people might not grasp it, but I got a good heart. And that's one thing. And that's one thing that I believe, like, even with Coach Grimes, when he let us, babysit his kids, we have good hearts. Even you, Vic, even TJ, Todd, you know what I'm saying? My aunt, and all that whole O-line crew, we had good hearts. I think the biggest thing for my legacy is I want kids to not just, just to excel, but be productive, not on the field, but in life. Because if you can transition like you've done, you transition what you've done in the field, be exceptional, and you become even greater because you did something that nobody else thought to do. And that's one thing that I believe that JB Grimes, Coach Beamer, and Coach Bustle instilled in us. So,
no question.
Yes.
No, you're so right, man. I appreciate it. Those are wise words from two great men, two great Virginia Tech legends, man. And I'll just say this, man. I love you both. I love you both.
Love you too.
And I appreciate you both. And by the way, you said we got good hearts. We also got good hands. Jay can throw hands, and TJ, when you get mad, I'm not gonna put it out here on this show, but Hagood can throw hands. And TJ, and when TJ gets mad, it's a wrap. I didn't want to bring up the fight in the field house when you got Hank Coleman so mad he picked up the box jump up thing and threw it. I said, man, this is about to get crazy in here. Hey, so we got good hearts, but if you get these two guys mad, it's over. It's over. I want to tell a story about the summer when Hagood, but I can't tell it. I'm
the one who got in trouble with it.
But you know what?
That's right, you did.
Hey, I tell you what, Hank Coleman told me, and you got Chad Johnson and those guys doing this little unedited thing. I'm gonna keep the legacy spotlights, but once COVID is over, I'm gonna get us together. We're gonna do something with my man Tyronne filming. It's gonna be unedited story.
Yeah.
But no, this has been a lot of fun, man. This has been a long, but this might be one of the best ones ever, man. So I appreciate you both, man. And like I say, every show, every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact. You have a great legacy, man. Thank you, Jay and TJ, man. I appreciate you both. Thank you to all the Hagood and TJ supporters. We appreciate you guys for supporting Vicktory Life and their careers, and keep following them for great things to come. Thank you, guys.
Man, we love you,
man.
little bro.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.